Welcome to Rob Schmitt tonight. Don't worry, Rob didn't go on a carbohydrate binge or cancel his gym membership. I'm Matt Gaetz. Rob has the night off. America hangs on indictment watch yet again. Target letters like the one President Trump received usually arrive just before criminal charges are presented to a grand jury. And any lawyer will tell you the outcome of a grand jury vote is about as anticlimactic as a North Korean election. Everyone knows the result even before it happens. So what is about to unfold? We've got the latest on expected charges and timing. We'll analyze all the politics, whether they are good, bad, or uglier than the Barbie movie's plotline. Eric Trump joins me exclusively in moments to bring us inside the Trump family's thinking and strategy to fight back. That fight will play out, at least in part, inside the walls of a courtroom. It stands to be the most significant test of America's legal system in history. A member of the Trump legal team, Alina Habba, is here to break it all down. Here's what we know. Special Counsel Jack Smith is woven into the Department of Justice's embarrassing and shameful history of targeting political opponents with bootstrapped, tortured legal theories. But don't take my word for it. Federal judges have made the case far better than I ever could. It's brilliantly set forth in an essay by the Federalist's Matt Gaetz. Take the case of former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell. He was charged with corruption, but ultimately prevailed against Jack Smith. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that Jack Smith's interpretation of the law was, quote, boundless, and raised due process concerns. He called the case distasteful on behalf of a unanimous court. Here's the former Virginia governor's take on the experience.
I think he's been overzealous in some of these high-profile cases. He's willing to stretch the law. John Roberts called it a boundless interpretation that would catch up politicians in their ordinary acts that they do for people. And I think it's just says maybe a lack of judgment. And that's the concern that I get out of my case and the others.
Now, I'm not saying that the Roberts court is never unanimous. It happens. But it's about as rare as an actual citing of Dianne Feinstein in the U.S. Senate. Unanimously, Jack Smith was smacked down by the court for using an overly broad interpretation of a criminal statute to target a prominent Republican. Remember that exact pattern as we go through this, because there's a case that's even worse than the Virginia governor matter. This is very on point regarding Jack Smith's specific misuse of the Espionage Act. Thomas Drake went to work for the NSA on September 11, 2001. He ultimately grew frustrated with the NSA's violations of Americans' civil liberties, often in secret, contrary to law. There were allegations of mismanagement, too. He claims he provided controlled, unclassified information to the Baltimore Sun that resulted in explosive reporting in 2006 and 2007. This reporting ultimately led to changes at the NSA and better questions from Congress, by the way. The government suspected that Drake was the leak. And instead of awarding him a worthy medal, they raided his home. 2 years later, he was indicted on 10 counts. And years after that, on the eve of trial, the government dropped all the felonies, including every Espionage Act charge. He pled guilty to a single misdemeanor. Federal Judge Richard Bennett pistol whipped the government over this fiasco. He said he had never seen such unconscionable behavior by prosecutors that didn't pass the smell test. Drake was never proven to have released anything classified, yet he was branded a traitor to his country. Judge Bennett even noted he asked another judge if he had ever seen a defendant treated like this. It was unprecedented. And what prosecutor led the public integrity section at the Department of Justice when this very injustice was perpetrated? Well, that would be none other than Jack Smith. It was all on his watch. Now Jack Smith is using the very legal tool, the Espionage Act, that he was rebuked for misusing, and he's using it to pursue President Trump. I've asked for more information about Jack Smith's team in a letter I sent to Attorney General Merrick Garland. who are these people and what crusade are they really on? After all, think about how much we learned about the bias of Robert Mueller's special counsel team when we saw rabid partisans like Andrew Weissman empowered to make major decisions. Given the prior misuse of criminal law by Jack Smith, noted by federal judges, it seems entirely reasonable to understand whether untoward motives are at play. The Attorney General, unsurprisingly, has not responded to my letter, and this raises even graver concerns. We don't need Jack Smith to tell us what happened on January 6th, actually. We all saw the explicit words and actions of President Trump.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Now, Jack Smith needs another statute to broadly interpret, to twist and torture, to ensnare a prominent Republican. This time, it just happens to be the dominant frontrunner for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. So enter the deprivation of rights statute. You need to know this. If it sounds vague, it was enacted for a very specific reason. Just after the Civil War, Congress wanted to give the federal government the power to go after the KKK for murdering people. Hardly analogous to giving a political speech at the White House, I know. The deprivation of rights statute has subsequently been used to punish corrupt prison guards for mistreating prisoners. Now, deprivation of rights is the weapon of choice wielded by Special Counsel Jack Smith to target President Trump, all for acting within the confines of the law. Don't you see the pattern? Step one, find your political opponent to target. Maybe it's an NSA whistleblower or a Republican governor, now Trump. Step two, find a near ancient statute and then reinterpret that statute as broadly as possible to categorize conduct as criminal, which otherwise wouldn't be. Step three, you may have to abandon these charges, as in the case of Thomas Drake. You may even lose on appeal, as you did with Governor McDonnell. But you can destroy the life and career and future of your target nonetheless, all for politics. Make the process the punishment. That's the Jack Smith playbook. We've seen it before. And even if you're not a Trumper, isn't this unsettling to you? Do you really want a government that first defines the target and then defines the criminal culpability? It's hardly a path to classical inclusive liberalness or even a civilized society for that matter. It reads more like the show me the man and I'll show you the crime era of Stalinist Russia.